Hello everyone and welcome back to a brand new video and welcome back to round 21 of season 3 of the F124 driver career mode. Yes, we're back this weekend here for the return of the Portuguese Grand Prix at Portimao. Yes, we're finally back at one of my favourite circuits that has been a recent addition to the F1 games. For whatever reason, they keep just putting this track on, inside the game. We've lost Paul Ricard, we've lost a couple of the other ones, so yeah, I quite like coming back here when we get an opportunity as well. Of course, this season, the Portuguese Grand Prix replaced Circuit of the Americas. Next season, it'll probably replace Miami or somewhere else as well. But of course, obviously, it slots in between Brazil and Las Vegas inside this game as well. Of course, if you missed out on the video that went live yesterday from Sao Paulo, I would highly recommend going back and checking out. We had quite an interesting race from the Brazilian Grand Prix there. Things went rather well, especially for our teammate Charles Leclerc, who now with just 4 rounds to go is mathematically your Formula 1 world champion there. But there's 4 points in it between myself and Max Verstappen. He had an absolute stinker of a weekend. 2 of the last 4 Grand Prix, the Dutchman has failed to score a point. He hasn't won a race since Zandvoort as well. So, yeah, really not going well for Verstappen. Interestingly this season, still, only Leclerc has won 3 Grand Prix in a row, and that was all the way back between Japan and Miami, so we could still technically break that record by the end of the season, but we would need to run perfectly throughout these final few rounds. Get yourself subscribed if you're new. We're trying to hit 140,000 subs on the channel at the moment, and yeah, let's head back then here to Portugal.
Hello and welcome to practice here in Portugal. Great to have you with us. Plenty of running to come as teams collate some valuable data.
Well, it does feel very odd to be returning to Portugal in November inside F124. This track is always near the end of the calendar when it's been kept in the F1 games in recent years. But yeah, never has it felt like it's been this late on in terms of the season. Obviously a little bit weird in the grand scheme of things. You know, we do a couple of races out in the Americas, come back to Portugal, just go back to Vegas. Guess that's, you know, the joys of playing on the game rather than having to worry about our digital mileage or anything like that. But yeah, so far, I've got to say, grip feels incredibly low around this circuit. It generally, you want to try and make it quite high downforce, the car. But that does not guarantee you there, as that corner is always lethal. But at the moment, yeah, I just can't find anything. Well, we are just about going to survive our first lap here. We do get a couple of purples right towards the end of it, but nowhere near the purple score overall. We'll give it another run. We had an interesting meeting as well with Ferrari before this race. They've told us, although both titles now are wrapped up, they still don't want to see Charles and I come together before the end of the season. They will be quite happy still to apportion blame, and that will absolutely affect our chances as we head into next year as well. This wasn't just worded at me. Charles was, you know, there at exactly the same meeting. So clearly, you know, Ferrari don't want to be made to look like they haven't got control over their drivers. Although admittedly last weekend in Brazil, although we were still fairly close on the road, Charles and I never really tripped over each other, simply because I wasn't quick enough. And I think, yeah, on our second run, we are going to become agonisingly close once again to the full purple score. I think that time around 15 points out, but I can't afford to spend all day in free practice. I'll see you guys in qualifying.
Practice is over, qualifying awaits. Welcome to Portugal and Portimao, where it is time to see who takes pole position.
Well, to celebrate our return to Portugal, we've decided to make it a one-shot qualifying session. And no, that has absolutely nothing to do with me forgetting to accidentally disable it, ready for this weekend. So, Portimao, suddenly the pressure is on. I do love the fact as well inside this game it is still called the 2021 Portuguese Grand Prix. But can we try and get a good result on the board? We have to put so much time into the setup in qualifying. And I'll be honest, even now, I still don't feel particularly comfortable here. But it is a bit of a step into the unknown for everybody. Of course, we haven't raced at Portimao in a good few years. So every single driver here, I mean, a lot of them will never have driven it. There are plenty of familiar faces that will have. As we try and navigate our way through this middle sector, Leclerc still confident, still all-conquering in that car right now. For me, to be honest, today, Bit like Brazil, I'm really lacking pace, so any decent result will probably be a top 5 finish for us, especially when other teams' performances are getting closer and closer. Just a couple more corners to try and navigate these horrible double hairpins. As the second one falls away from you, it is really, really difficult to try and work out exactly where you want to get on the throttle. But making our way out the final corner, this has been a terrible qualifying effort by us. So you try and get the run back up towards the start-finish line. Where are we going to end up on the grid? It's P12. Deary me. That might be my first ever qualifying this year where we end up outside the top 10. Well, once again, Pierre Gasly as well delivering over 1 lap. 6 cars from 6 different teams make up your top 6 there. Both Williams get themselves inside the top 10, so clearly they're enjoying this venue as well. Every single car, once again, covered by less than a second. And although Gasly is showcasing how good that Haas car is, Hülkenberg, for some reason in this game, is still showcasing how bad he is. P19 for him. I'd argue that's probably the only worse qualifying effort than myself, other, of course, than Sergio Perez, who never qualifies on this game.
The Formula One circus has made its way to the southern coast of Portugal this week, and it's preparing for what I expect to be a terrific race here in Portimao. 2.9 miles of track at Portimao, featuring 15 turns, 9 to the right and 6 to the left. A lot going on at this track, a lot of elevation changes that will affect the driver's braking and acceleration. Keep an eye out for the DRS zone on the final straight, as that'll be the setup for a lot of today's overtaking opportunities. It's time to see how our drivers are stacking up after yesterday's exciting qualifying session. Fantastic effort from Charles Leclerc yesterday, and it's put him on pole, and Lando Norris lines up alongside. Moving on to the rest of the grid, we have Gasly, Fernando Alonso, Hamilton, Oscar Piastri, Stroll, Sainz, Firestarter, Russell, Perez, Ricciardo, Verstappen, Tsunoda, Ocon, Albon, Hülkenberg, Vesti, Behrman and Zhou Guanyu. Which of these talented drivers will come out on top today? Well, you're very welcome to the commentary box. I'm Alex Jakes. Alongside me, an authority on all things motor racing. It's a warm welcome to Naomi Schiff. Well, they're having a better time than their teammates so far this year. How do you keep that momentum going? I love this moment in the weekend. Put us in their shoes right now. What are they feeling on the grid?
It's a very special time for the drivers. It's almost like everything around you slows down and you become hyper aware. So your nerves slightly go up, your adrenaline's going up. It's the perfect time to start focusing on your visualizations and preparing for the race. So you want to avoid distractions and really stay cool, calm and focused.
Well, wise words there from Naomi Schiff, and luckily because of some grid penalties for other drivers, we end up starting still inside the top 10 here. Now, the medium to hard almost worked for us in Brazil. I don't think we're going to have that same luck here today. I think we want to be on the soft compound tyres. Even if we can't take them all 14 laps, maybe they're not for a set of hards for the second half of the GP, but we need to be aggressive early on. We need to make moves here. This is, I mean, it doesn't really matter too much in the grand scheme of things, but I would like to get another big point sword. It is 5 red lights down on the grid, and it is going to be lights out, and away we go. They're off to a fairly poor start, actually. See Lance Stroll trying to have a look around the outside of Lewis Hamilton down in towards one. We've got the Red Bull of Sergio Perez there and the V-Carb to keep us company, but we'll make it through. And maybe even I'll look down the inside of Oscar Piastri as well in towards turn 3 there. Gasly battling with Fernando Alonso up in P2. Huge moment there. We actually saved that one-handed, which I'm rather happy with myself. But already, Charles Leclerc, our teammate, getting away at the front of the field. Looks like the soft compound tyre, though, was the right choice. So at least we can try and keep up with everybody else there. But gaining a few spots then off the start, despite initially what was quite a bad getaway. But already, yeah, that gap Charles Leclerc's built up at the front of the field. Things couldn't have gone much better for our teammate. Max Verstappen has taken more grid penalties as well this weekend, so fingers crossed we should leave here up in P2 in the championship. I don't remember genuinely the last time I was P2 in this series in terms of the overall order. It must have been really, really early on in the year. It felt like we spent most of the campaign trying to play catch-up on Max Verstappen. I really do think, yeah, tracks like Portimao deserve a longer stay in Formula 1. You know, we end up with all these street circuits here, there, and everywhere nowadays. But yeah, you know, a modern circuit like this that is so cool and is such a roller coaster barely gets 2 seasons under its belt before it inevitably gets dropped. Yeah, this place is really, really good fun, and I must admit, to swap it out for a sprint weekend is pretty much a no-brainer for me inside this game. To swap it out for a sprint weekend on a street circuit, yes, I'm talking about you, Miami, I think is all but guaranteed next campaign. Ooh, a little bit of Constantina run up there, back down in towards turn 3. I'll be honest, yeah, although everybody's able to stick near each other, yeah, we're struggling to really sense many opportunities to try and go for a pass. Gasly and Stroll just starting to battle in front. Aston Martin, once again, have come on super strong at the end of the year. But we're just stuck kind of staring at the back of Lando Norris's car. I would like to try and find a way through sooner rather than later, but nothing seems to be working for us at the moment. And our OP straight line speed seems to become less and less OP every single weekend. Come on, we're going to really drain the battery this time around and see if we can get a run on Lando.
0.1 seconds.
220 miles an hour has got to be a new record here at this circuit, but still not quite close enough to get to Lando Norris there down at turn 1. Turn 3, though, another different story, and we will try and make the move happen there. He'll get the traction on me up through there. AI always have more grip through that corner. Obviously got built-in traction control still inside this game. So trying to have a look around the outside of Lando, though, down in towards the hairpin. Gotta try and go for it now or never. And we are through and up into P6. Oh, here we go. Now we're starting to see Stroll and Gasly battle a little bit more side by side back down towards turn 1. And I had just lost the DRS to Lewis Hamilton there by trying to get around Lando. So immediately I will say thank you very much. And we will get back in the range once more. But yeah, Gasly, don't think we've still seen him get a podium, have we? Even though that car has seen a huge resurgence in recent Grand Prix. I know he finished 4th back at Singapore, but I'm trying to rack my brains. I don't think he's had a podium towards the end of the year still. Maybe he did in Mexico? I can't remember, to be completely honest. But yeah, he's in the fight for one today. But Aston Martin, yeah, seem to be our biggest rival.
Battery charge is high. Let's use that overtake button a bit more.
Well, I would genuinely be interested to know how a modern Formula 1 car would work around here. You know, whether this track would be great in these ground effect cars. I think it would work really well, because of course it is very difficult otherwise to stick to the back of the car in front through that final sector. But yeah, I mean, at the moment, we're just, yeah, it does take us quite a few laps to really make an impact. Still trying to build up confidence. I've never driven this circuit before free practice inside F1 24. Come on, trying to get a run then on Lewis Hamilton back down towards turn 1. Again, we're going to try and drain all of our battery available to us. We'll close back in by the apex here. I don't think Lewis was using DRS on Gasly in front. Down the inside we'll go, though, of the Merc. And a pretty carbon copy move of what we did earlier on. Hamilton, again, though, will get the power down through turn 4. But we've got to be a bit more wise this time round, and of course make sure that we stay inside the range of those cars in front if we're able to complete the move there around the outside and at the hairpin and up then into P5. I still absolutely can see us getting P2 here ahead of Fernando, but this must be what it's like to be Sergio Perez this year. Your car was OP for a while, now isn't. Your teammate's still winning, and you're battling everybody else. One thing I haven't thought about in this race is actually the tyres since the beginning. I know we mentioned pre-race that obviously we might struggle on them, but so far they've actually been way better than I expected them to be here. But they haven't really been a cause for concern at all so far this afternoon. It's closing in on Gasly back down towards turn 1. I mean, look at the speed we've got. Trying to have a look to the outside of the Frenchman. No possibility there. Could we see a direct switch between myself and Pierre next season? Does he fancy being the next cursed driver to go alongside Charles Leclerc? Bit annoyed I couldn't make the move happen, to be honest, because we used so much battery to try and get near him. Oh, I've thought about it. Don't spin that. Come on. Well, Gasly is almost out of the range of Lance Stroll. Yeah, we're going to make it all the way to our pit window then, without any major concerns, apart from the fact, yeah, that I can't find a way around Pierre Gasly. Seems like I get a bit closer to the Frenchman back down towards turn 1. Maybe struggling a little bit more than others for straight line speed. But ultimately, that doesn't mean that I can get the run through the corner to actually try and get past him. No, he doesn't, eh? Verstappen's running in like P16. Where on earth's Mark got that idea from? Well, we're going to peel into the pit lane then at the end of next lap. So if we want to try and get past Gasly, this is going to be the last real opportunity I've got to do so here. He might just have dropped out of the range of Stroll. So that might make our life a whole lot easier then, as I think he has. As here we go, yeah, I mean, this time around, surely we're going to sail around him. And the outside of Pierre will go, and we'll finally move up then into P4. Whoa, I get a nice big drift as well, just to remind him who's the boss inside this game there. But annoyingly as well, I've just realised.
Save up some ERS, so let's focus on charging it up, please.
The shadow down the start-finish straight here is still broken. It's been like that way since it was implemented all the way back on F1 2021. It doesn't line up properly with where it should be. As we're already seeing some cars into the pit lane then. I'm surprised to see the AI going so aggressive. And now we've got to try and remember where the pit lane entry line is around this circuit. I do wish you had to use like a different pit lane here or something like that as well. I think that would be really, really cool to see, as Alonso, I believe, will be into the pit lane just in front. There is the mark, so we'll get it slowed down pretty easily in the end. Maybe now Alonso and myself can try and go for a bit of an undercut on our teammate here, but I'm worried about the other cars coming into the pit lane as well. Are we going to get held up by some other cars as well? No, we won't.
Fantastic stop, faster than we were expecting.
Annoyingly, I don't think Alonso particularly did either there, but a few of the others behind might trip over each other. As where are we going to re-emerge then in this Grand Prix? I think we're going to be out in P11.
Now we want to finish the race on this compound.
Yeah, Lando Norris has done a really good job there, and he will be able to attack us on this outlap, because obviously he's already got his tyres up to temperature. Just monitoring that gap to Alonso. He hasn't opened up a lot this lap, but it has been a good 0.3 of a second or so. That's really frustrating there. Just goes to show about how the tide is turning in terms of the car performance. As I've said, Ferrari have made a huge investment on next year's car. You know, this season, I mean, clearly it's worked for us. Both titles are already in the bag. But as we make our way then down past the pit lane once more, Alonso might actually get the jump on our teammate. He is! So Fernando Alonso, he couldn't quite do it last time, eh? But he's going to lead here in Portugal. It's not quite his home Grand Prix, but it's not a million miles away either. I'm sure there's quite a few Spanish fans that have come to watch him here. This could be a turnout for the books. We've got to keep trying to push on here late on in the day, because Leclerc and Alonso, there could still be an opportunity back into that fight just up in front. Let's not forget still, we've only had 3 different winners this year. Obviously Leclerc, Verstappen and I. Nobody else has had a win yet. So this would be a remarkable turnaround for the books for Alonso here, if he's able to hang on. I tell you what, at the moment, both he and Leclerc are going quicker than me. It's Lando Norris. Big opportunistic dive there down at the hairpin. That's not going to help either of us if we want to try and close up to the leaders. As Zhou Guanyu and Esteban Ocon, for whatever reason, opted to stay out a lot longer than everybody else here.
6.0 seconds.
So they are going to be back out a little bit further behind. It's Lando, yeah, you can't look for one there, my friend. You've got to be a lot further alongside. Leclerc's done it, though. Back into the lead of the race for our teammate. But they did cost each other a little bit of time. Well, I didn't want to bring it up too early in the afternoon either, but as we start lap 20, just now do I start to get slightly nervous about the fact that we've had no mechanical failures yet for anybody else. I've mentioned it before, and I'm sure I'll mention it again. Normally that means one thing and one thing only, and that'll be that I'm the one that ends up with a mechanical failure. Alonso, though, I mean, him and Leclerc are dragging each other along, but Alonso just does not seem to have the straight line speed to get back past our teammate. And could we be looking at the same top 3 as we saw last week?
0.9 seconds.
Lando looking this way and that for a move, but not able to find one yet. I mean, luckily for us, the straight line speed's still making the difference at the moment. Lando Norris, he can stay pretty close, but he can't quite get enough. Down towards turn 1 each and every lap as we get towards 2/3 distance here. It has been a fun Portuguese Grand Prix, but it has reminded me still of the nuance that the AI have inside this game. Sainz as well, weirdly, seems to have turned up this afternoon. Decarb looking fairly racy. We haven't seen that in a long old while. They were obviously one of the early season bigs plot lines. But since then, yeah, their pace has just kind of fallen apart. Oh, here we go. Carlos Sainz now trying to look around the outside of Lando down towards turn 1.
Just completed a pass for the leader of the race.
I mean, Leclerc completed that pass laps and laps ago, but suddenly now is the very first man in this series that was at Ferrari about to make the move on me. I think he is. Look at this Sainz. Where on earth have VCarb got this pace from out of nowhere? As Carlos Sainz will have a look down the inside there and won't quite be able to put the power down. But we've just been mugged by a VCarb.
Mistake and we could still regain the position.
I tell you what, I know I mentioned it before, but some of the storylines we are getting into deeper seasons on this game are absolutely wild. That being said, though, while Sainz might have been able to get past me, he might not be able to stay ahead of me here as we'll try and get the DRS at that final corner. Open it up, and yeah, I mean, the joy of having the most powerful car on the grid still. Anybody can try that, but it won't mean they can hang on to it. But admittedly, we have had our eyes on the mirrors for most of the second half of this Grand Prix, but we've been near enough a second a lap slower than Charles pretty much reliably since we hit over to the medium tyres. I got no idea where we're losing so much time on this lap, but a lot of it seems to be in the middle sector there. Alonso is still hounding him, but Leclerc just seems to be able to keep an arm's length at the moment, a bit like we're doing with all of these other cars. I mean, for us, though, we have got to think bigger picture still. This should be a good opportunity to finally get back ahead of Verstappen and maybe go into those final 3 Grand Prix with a little bit of a buffer. Maybe this is what Sainz is trying to do there, as again, the VCarb thinks about it. We just make a little movement in the braking zone. Just telling him, I'm aware he's there. I'm not going to do anything crazy, but I am going to defend.
Okay, they're slowing down. It seems like there's some kind of problem with their car.
I never thought I would hear those words. Charles Leclerc, somehow, late on in the day here, seems to have a mechanical issue. Don't know how much time it's going to cost him towards the end, but Alonso now surely is going to have an opportunity to try and win this thing. And finally, our teammates Ferrari has a problem. As looking on the minimap then, Alonso has immediately said thank you very much, and will move up into the lead of this Grand Prix. Leclerc is definitely losing a bit of time at the moment. I mean, there's only 7 laps to go. I mean, unless he is 2 seconds a lap down and that damage stays to the end, maybe it's just a technical glitch or something like that. But I cannot believe Alonso, luck might finally go his way in this game. Surely if he gets out the DRS, there's no way Leclerc can get back in it. Tell you what then, first lap of Leclerc with those mechanical gremlins, we have taken near enough 2 seconds out of him.
To the car behind.
There's no guarantee by the end, but this race could genuinely be on. I mean, it's irrelevant in terms of the championship. I did wonder whether Leclerc would start seeing issues after he'd won the title. Come on, we are pushing hard, as quite clearly shown. Tell you what then, as we are about to start lap 30 here, we are taking so much time out of Leclerc. Still well over a second a lap. It is normally closer to 2. I'm just not quite convinced we're going to have exactly enough to get to him by the end, but we are pushing on. I mean, like I said, we just want to get ahead of him. We just want to beat him. But, oh, the tyre's just starting to give up the ghost. It is not helping us. Well, 2 laps to go then, and I'm just starting to give up hope here. Late on in the day, the gap still up over 5 seconds. I mean, look how much time we take out of our teammate there. It's the first time I've basically seen him since lap 1. You can see Sainz as well is still hounding me behind. You know, we've got to think about the bigger picture still. But I mean, this will be the first Grand Prix since Zandvoort that the team haven't won either. It has been a dominant run performed by Ferrari again. I believe this has been our longest win streak of the year. But it is going to come to an end today. But which Ferrari will end up still on top? As we round the final corner then to start the last lap of this Grand Prix, I want to cast your mind back all the way to the season opener in Bahrain. Obviously, we got our first ever podium for Ferrari. Charles Leclerc started the year in a fashion that he's basically been able to maintain ever since. But I don't know if many of you remember who the 3rd man on that podium was. It was Fernando Alonso. Aston Martin, that car had some promise at the start of the year.
Okay, it looks like the problem's terminal. They're retiring the car.
So brand new seems to be out of the race, trying to steal the thunder during my little speech there. But yeah, Alonso, he took the win. He took a podium back at the start of the year. It's not going to be the first time we've seen him win inside this series, but I tell you what, you got to celebrate every single one, because for all I know, Alonso could be retiring come the end of the season there. The Spaniard has had such a storied career in Formula 1. And, well, whether it's his last win or not,
2.8 seconds.
you've got to commend him for it. In his 40s, still schooling on the rest of the field. Alonso, he will become your first winner that wasn't Leclerc, myself, or Max Verstappen this season. Through the final corners we're going to go, though. Leclerc will hang on for P2. But I tell you what, we qualified 12th. We finished 3rd. That's not bad going.
Yes, thank you. Thank you for all your hard work out there. That was a really strong drive and a great finish. Well done.
The long decade of hurt is over. Fernando Alonso takes the checkered flag.
And for everyone at home, these new upgrades just prove again that there is a race on track, but there is also a development race off the track.
The Aston Martin team will be very happy with today's performance and the final result. Another display of excellent driving and excellent teamwork, and a well-deserved first-place finish.
Lando Alonso then joins a very exclusive club at the end of this weekend. The winner's circle so far this year hasn't been particularly big, but it has got a 4th member there. The Spaniard takes the win from 4th on the grid. He deserved the win last time out in Brazil, I'll be completely honest. So it's nice to see his action there getting rewarded come the checkered flag. My driver of the day, though, I think goes to Max Verstappen. A very good recovery there in a car that isn't particularly highly rated anymore inside this series. But luckily for me, we should now be ahead of him there. Alonso takes the win ahead of both Ferraris, with Sainz beating out both McLarens ahead of Verstappen, Stroll, and both Mercs rounding out the top 10 there. And again, Haas, one weekend they're great, one weekend they're pretty mediocre. Gasly only able to walk away with P11 when all is said and done. That means, though, in the championship, with 3 races left, we've got a 5-point lead over Max Verstappen there. It is now just between us two in the fight for P2. Lando, Norris, George Russell now too far away, and Alonso only 6 points behind George now. With just a handful of races left, he's pretty much guaranteed to stay ahead of Hamilton come the end of the year there. Constructors-wise as well, 18 points in it between McLaren and Mercedes there. But I tell you what, Red Bull might be falling back into both of their clutches by the end of the year as well. Haas still need another 18 points if they want to get ahead of Williams by the end of the campaign. But thank you all so much for watching. If you have enjoyed it, please do make sure to leave a like, get yourself subscribed. I'll remember to fix qualifying ready for the next round as well. We'll be back tomorrow, ready in Las Vegas.